Hey everybody, my name is Jason Gold and I'm back with another episode of Investor Insights. In today's video, I'm here to tell you that when you think that the street doesn't get it or they're not giving you proper credit for whatever it is that's going on in your business, I'm here to tell you that the problem isn't them. The problem is actually with you. And so in this video, we're going to talk about why I think that and how it's your job to fix it and what you can do to make sure that you understand that you have to own this issue and that it's not the street. So as I always do, let's start off with an anecdote. I was giving a lecture to a bunch of CEOs and people were going around the room talking about what was on their mind with respect to stocks and investor relations. And a couple of people raised their hand and said, I think we have the wrong investors and the street's not giving us proper credit for this and we're undervalued because of that and people just don't really understand and they're asking too many short-term questions. And for a while I let this go on and I listened to them and I listened to them bellyache and moan and blame everyone else that they possibly could. And then as things got quiet, I stopped and I literally just said to them, the problem isn't the street. See, the street actually does understand and the street is valuing you properly and is giving you proper credit for the story that you're telling. See, if you want a different valuation and you want different investors and you want people to be focused on the long term or to give you credit for this thing in your business that you think is really exciting, then you need to look deep inside yourself and really examine, are you telling the right story that gets people to focus on the thing and the long term and all of the things that you think they're not giving you credit for? See, the thing about Bloomberg is that anyone can access it. And what it also means is that everyone has access to the story that you're telling. They see your numbers, they see the research, they see your transcripts, so they can understand what you're telling them. And so if you think they're not the ones that are getting it, the issue is really with you. You need to understand that they are properly valuing you based upon what you're telling them. And if you want something different, the onus is upon you to tell them something different. So let's break it down in a little bit more detail. In essence, I'm telling you to stop pointing fingers and to stop blaming everyone else. I'm telling you to dig deep and look within yourself and really look back at how you're communicating your story and say, is this telling the story we want everyone to understand? Now, one of the things you might need to do is bring on someone to your team that's dispassionate, that's almost disinterested, to look at what you've been saying and say, does this really resonate with me? Because what happens for many management teams is they spend so much time steeped in what they know about the business, and they spend all day, every day thinking about just their business, that they fail to take that step back and say, is the story that's inside our head really being communicated properly to the street? Now, I suppose that's a little bit of a shameless plug for one of the things that I do. As a strategic investor relations consultant, one of my jobs is to come into companies and examine the story that they're telling and say, does this really match with where the value of the business really is? But put me aside. You need to do this yourself. Bring on someone from the engineering team or the sales team or someone just in general G&A or legal to say, look at what we've been telling the street. Does this resonate with you? Does this make sense? Because many times you don't even understand how myopically focused you are on the things you want to talk about and how you get into a rut of doing the same thing quarter after quarter. How often does your IR person take last quarter's script, zero out the numbers, plug in this quarter's numbers, and rinse and repeat? In some respects, it's okay to do that, but not if it's not working. If you want to continue to have a crummy multiple and continue to bellyache and complain that you're not getting credit for what's really going on in your business, then you should keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to shake things up, if you really want to get credit for what's happening in the business and you want to get the long-term shareholders and you want to get people to give you credit for the thing that's going on, then you need to change the way you tell your story. Many years ago, somebody gave me great advice. It's a little bit different from what we're talking about here, but the concept is the same. When you get so used to doing something, you fail to see the details. And we were talking about resumes and how frequently people have errors in their resumes, yet they read them over and over and over again. Well, it's because they can get conditioned to seeing what's on there. And this person's advice was read your resume from the back to the front when you're proofreading it. That will shake things up and make you see the errors that are in your resume. If you read it from top to bottom, you're gonna miss the easy stuff. And my point to you is similar to the resume. Shake it up, bring in someone new to look at what you've been saying and see, does this really resonate with the story we want the street to know? So what should you do? Here are 3 things that you need to do to really make sure that the story that you want to be told out there is what's actually happening. Number 1, take a step back. Recognize that everyone is distracted and no one knows as much about the business as you do. Read the transcript or read the script that you want to give to the street in an entirely different voice. Read it from a totally new perspective, a fresh perspective, and say, does this make sense to me? Are my key story points coming across? Number 2, make sure that everyone on the management team that interfaces with the street is on the same page about what story you're telling and how you tell it. I have a client, when I looked back through each of the transcripts of the times they've spoken to the street over the course of the last quarter, and they have several different people from management that talk to the street, every time someone asked them, what are the top 3 things you're most excited about? They gave a different answer. You need to have consistency between each of the people that talk to the street about what your story is, because investors crave that consistency. Number 3, clearly articulate where the value for the story is going to come from over the near term. That value might be revenue, it might be EBITDA, it might be cash flow. But punch people in the face so that they can connect a story to some numbers and understand how that story is going to unfold in their models. So that's it for today. I want you to understand that whenever you want to blame somebody else that they're not getting it and the street doesn't understand, turn it around, hold up a mirror and say, no, it's me. We need to look inwards and change the story that we're telling. You're getting credit for the story you're telling. If you want a different multiple and you want credit for something else, change the way you tell your story. Thanks very much, and I'll see you here again next time on another episode of Investor Insights.